This is Generation Exile. It's a science fiction community simulator, and it explores a lot of the same ideas that I'm interested in exploring with State of Decay. And so it immediately caught my eye as something I'd want to look deeper into. They are playing the UX game on lethal mode, though. So it's a very challenging game to make, and I don't fully understand it because of that. But I'm going to do my best. This is my third time starting this game over. So hopefully I understand it at least well enough to give you a tour. So the scenario is you're on a generation ship, which is one of those starships that just basically people live, die, and have, like a whole family tree going through generations while the ship is in transit to another star system. Because that's what it would take to cross, all of that distance in space. There's no such thing as faster than light travel. If we ever do cross the stars, it'll probably be something like this. But yeah, so you've escaped a future Earth that's been taken over by some kind of fungus, and that fungus has gotten aboard the ship, and so its ecosystem is broken down. And the point of this game is to try to repair its ecosystem so that your people can thrive on the way to the colony world. We didn't get very far from Earth before strange things started happening. It's 2 years after launch. Last year, you would have said things were going well. This year, the compost worms hummed, and at least 5 people were lost to sudden sinkholes. Sho Nakagawa taps you on the shoulder. You've known Sho since the years before the Generation Ship mission. So apparently this place is dying pretty early in the trip, because if you knew him before the Generation Ship mission, then it hasn't been a Generation Ship for very long. Let's say he's the last living agricultural disease specialist. You're gonna need him. Sho's toting a huge duffel bag. It's time, he says intensely. This is only getting worse. Back on Earth, the scales had a period of inactivity. We can hope that one of those is coming, but who knows when. We need to hole up. You curse under your breath in ever-present chagrin. We'd tried so hard to keep the scales off the ship. I'm guessing the scales is a fungus. So yeah, let's trust Sho. You grab what you can and follow him. In the subsurface, made up of artificial cave passages and cabled access tunnels, a few hundred people form your group. You occasionally radio with other parties, scattered in other underground spaces. You live on the rations intended as planetfall supplies. At first, people make brief returns to the biome's surface. Not all come back. You stay below. You've been down here for months, you calculate. You and Sho are once again bemoaning the hubris of Earth's ruling class, consuming Earth in their greed, and then paying for a quick environmental fix, which turned out, of course, to be the scales. They had no idea what they were doing, Sho is half yelling for the umpteenth time, when there's a commotion around one of the tents. You join the crowd clustered at the entrance of Jean Reese's tent. Inside, actually, is that Jean or is it Jean? Let's say Jean. Jean Reese's tent. Inside, Jean's belongings have been pushed aside, revealing something sprouting from the dense earth on the cave floor. You focus on it as it begins to move. It looks like a human hand formed from roots and tendrils. Someone behind you whispers, "It's signing letters. I'm sure of it." But it's nonsense. It's not words. Fear echoes through the cave. We have to leave. The scales has made its way inside. It's not safe here anymore. Maybe the surface is cleared enough to restart food production. You consider how few supplies remain. There's no other choice. In the last supply cache, preparing your group to make its way upward, you stumble across a toroidal support robot, which according to its packaging was intended to help with settlement after planetfall. You switch it on a few hundred years early. As an indicator light blinks on, a synthetic voice peeps. Ship data connection established. Oxygen use shows a smaller living population than even the most conservative projection models. The robot rotates to face you. My crew roster indicates that you're the most experienced and qualified individual to serve as a settlement's caretaker. Congratulations! You're more disheveled than your profile indicates. Please allow me a moment to update it. So here we make our character. So this is a top-down management game, but it also has specific characters, which is what makes it feel like it's relevant to State of Decay 2. It's also like, it's not just a sandbox management simulator. They actually are telling a story with the actions that you take. But, so let's decide who this guy's going to be. I mean, I guess we could just sort of go with the random stuff. Can I hit the randomize button? Oh, here we go. All kinds of different looks these people can have. Oh, I like this dude. So this could be Christopher Young or Jesse Amator, Ige Boyd, Aubrey Marcus Moreau, Marcus Bonacorso, Douglas Sigi, Axman, Valdemar. Valdemar was pretty good. I can't stop. Atticus Bonacorso. That's his name. Let's call him Bonnie. All right, so you can see who. So this is. Oh, this probably is Jean. Okay, so that's Jean, and this is Show, and these are the buttons that take me to the surface. So I think that the ship is under acceleration, and so this is like that is the front of the ship. I think that's the direction we're going, and so we're standing on the ground because the ship is accelerating forward. I'm pretty sure. So, first steps. They're telling me how to use WASD and clicking and dragging and all that stuff. That's normal stuff. So we got to build bases and habitats. So, right now, there is very little HUD on the screen, and there's very few resources for you to worry about. That is a good place to start a player. And they're going to introduce this stuff one by one, but at some point, I think, unless I'm missing something, I think we're going to start losing track of all the complicated things that are going on here. Which is kind of funny because actually, this system, it's not actually that complicated. And I think some of it is like, it's complicated because the UX obfuscates it from you. We'll show you what I mean by this. So we're going to build basic habitats someplace. Actually, before I do that, let's get the lay of the land here. So I don't think this is actually important, but I just always have this inclination to try to put it near water, though actually where you end up getting most of your water is from hilltops, actually. So I want to place this where there are a lot of hilltops. So let's stick this guy over here. Okay, so it's got this little dial that's going to fill over the course of one turn. This is turn-based, by the way. So I'm going to click this turn button, and then it's going to get built. Human crew have needs. Build a water tank within range of basic habitats to provide the tile with water. Absolutely, sir. We will do that. So we'll build the water tanks. So this is not a water generator. This is just a tank of water that I guess we found downstairs. And I'm going to need it to be close to not only this, but also some other stuff. So I'm going to put it here. So there's our water tank. And we're going to wait another turn for it to build. Let's get the crew fed and prepared for work. A cricket farm will suffice to provide food to the surrounding area, and a technician's depot will be needed for that. So, okay, we're going to start having to manage resources here. So you can see right here, we've got this habitat, which is supposed to provide one population, but it can't do that because it isn't providing food yet. It isn't being provided food yet. So basically, this tile is going to need to consume these things. So every turn it's going to have access to these two things in order to produce this one thing. So let's start by making a cricket farm. Now the cricket farm needs water, and it's going to provide food to those people. So I'm going to stick it right here. And then, but the cricket farm also has needs of its own. Not only does it consume 2 water, but it also has this requirement. This is a requirement for like skilled workers. So to get skilled workers, we're going to have to build a technician's depot. But right now we can only build one thing at a time. So we'll build the cricket farm. And yeah, we need the technician's depot. So you can see like this, it's not providing its people because it doesn't have any food. This doesn't have technicians, and so it can't work, is what I think these icons are telling us. So we need to build a technician's depot right there. And now, because, let's see here, so we turn this on. Let me see. Okay, so it's not listing my resources yet. So I think this might actually be a little bit of a chicken and egg problem. If we were to try to do this in the middle of the game, but I think because this is our very first thing, I think we can turn on the cricket farm. And then it resolves this whole circular thing where now this can feed this, which then provides people to this, which provides technical skills to this. So we're almost out of the resources that we need. Actually, it's not even tracking the resources that we need to build this stuff, but we need to now create the ability to make those resources. So right now, this turn, this says it's not providing its population yet, but there we go. Okay, yeah. So now we've got this lovely little self-sufficient loop here. Almost. This is the one weak link in the self-sufficient loop. So this is a finite water tank that every turn is providing 2 water to this cricket farm that needs 2 water. It's providing 1 water to the habitats. Then the cricket farm is providing 2 water to the habitats. The habitats are providing 1 population to the technicians depot, which is turning that 1 population into 3 technicians. So what we've got is a surplus of 2 technicians. And then everything else is kind of accounted for here. So we've got this lovely little loop. The main problem we have is this is going to slowly run out of water. So we're going to end, and this has got extra technicians for us. So we probably can accomplish something here. So we've got to start making the construction materials that it takes to start filling more of these tiles. So that means we need a salvage yard, which requires technicians, and we need a prefab plant, which does not. So I think the prefab plant is just automatic, but the salvage yard needs people. And so we want to stick the salvage yard in a place where it's got access to a lot of salvage tiles. So we'll do that. It's built, but now this means its storage is full. Like, it's producing something that it has nowhere to send. So it's not really going to produce it until it has a place to send it. So that means we need to make the prefab plant. So we'll stick that right there. Next turn. So now that's built, but oh, whoops, I've made a mistake. This is too far from my source of water. This actually requires water. So that was not very clever, because now I'm going to need to build another water tank. This one in range of that. So I'll put it over here because I think that there's other stuff I might want to build over here that also needs water. But yeah, this is a little bit wasteful. I could have drawn both from the same water tank if I'd been planning ahead well. Okay, so I've repurposed my planetfall preparation programming to keep track of all operational resources aboard the ship. Okay, so up here, we're starting to track our resources. So this is the construction materials, the prefabs that we have, and that's what we're generating with the salvage thing and the whatever. This is the remaining technicians. So we're generating 3 and we're using 2. So we've got 1 left. And this is housing capacity. How many more of these housing facilities I'm allowed to build. So right now we've accomplished all of these requirements to hit our next development level. So we're going to kind of level up our community. And so now this is increasing our housing capacity and giving us stewards. So let's find out about stewards. So these are those 2 characters we met at the beginning. Each of them has got like different abilities and stuff. This guy's a planner and he's got an ability slot. And this guy is ecological and an engineer, which does something. Okay, yeah, so this guy's better at infrastructure tasks and ecosystem tasks. And this guy is better at logistics tasks and has got an open slot that he can use for something else. So we haven't decided yet. So now we've got these 2 guys, which means instead of doing 1 thing per turn, we can now do 2 things per turn, each of them managed by a different dude. So we've got more housing capacity now, so we can make a certain number of habitats. So the idea is you've got kind of an infinite number of people below ground who are ready to come up, and so you just have to build housing for them. And so your only limit on people is just housing. People are not really, they're not simulating people running around and stuff. They're just another tile with with needs and production. So we need to build 2 habitat structures. We've already got 1. They want us to make a second one. We have to feed them and water them well enough. And we have to have a second technicians depot with crew. So basically, they're just saying they want us to create this loop again. So this cricket farm provides 5 food. So actually, it can feed... Is that really 5? Yeah, that's a lot. Okay, so it can feed like several houses all by itself. and then each house can produce can fill a technician's depot. So it's kind of funny how the conversion of this, of people, they didn't decide to do 3 population is 3 technicians. It's 1 population, which represents the number of people that can live on a tile, and then 3 technicians come out of that unit of population, which wasn't immediately intuitive to me, but I mean, I get it now. So let's build another one of those basic habitats. Let's make sure it's close. So if I put it over here, it can barely reach the water, and it can reach the crickets, so that's probably fine. Let's do that. And now I can do a second thing because I've got the 2 guys. So I'm going to build a second technician thing, and we'll go. So now we've doubled that up, and we've got a new goal, which is to build organic waste storage. So basically, we've got this well-being thing that we're tracking here. And so we've got -6 for this. Oh, you can't see this. We've got -6 for having an unstable ecosystem. And people are like, they're generating garbage and other things. It's not being stored anywhere. Everyone's keeping it in a big pile at their house. So that's negative. But we've got people working, which makes them feel satisfied. And we've got scrubbers, which are these things built around the central hub, which are basically, we've got this big negative morale thing here and a positive morale thing that are balancing each other out. But as we progress, we're going to start removing these scrubbers, which will reduce this, which means we'll have to be successfully doing other things to compensate for that morale, which I think is a clever way to handle it, because there's always a risk that if you've got a morale system in a game like this, early on in the game, morale should be abysmal because people have nothing. But you don't want it to be that way because, if you're going to put consequences on bad morale, it sucks if you're going to start the game when you're brand new and suddenly you've got a zillion consequences. And so a lot of times they'll come up with some excuse to give you a morale buff at the beginning. RimWorld does this with people having low expectations at the beginning of a game. And to counterbalance that so that eventually the morale situation catches up to you, but not at the very beginning. So now they want us to build organic waste storage because each of our places is generating garbage. And we have to deal with that somehow. So we've got a new building we can build, organic waste. And it will slurp it up from these 2 places. Though I'm thinking if I do eventually spread more housing out this direction, I'll want it to be in range of this. So I'm going to place that there. But one thing you'll notice, and actually I should have pointed this out when I was first building this. When I started building this Technician's Depot, it was predicting that it was going to be getting people from here. Actually, I think what's going on is this Technician's Depot is getting people from here, and this one is getting people from here, but this hadn't been built yet. The problem is, right now, there is nothing that tells me where the people are going and where is the water coming from? Where are the people coming from? Where are the food coming from? Each tile doesn't tell me where all of its stuff is coming from and where it's going. When I'm building a new tile, it does tell me all that information, sometimes inaccurately because it doesn't know what's going to be built in later turns. But it is giving me an estimate of where a tile can get all of its stuff. But once the tiles are placed, it doesn't actually show me that. And this is where the UX of the game feels like I have to kind of wonder what the intention is here. Do they intend for me to actually be able to sort of mathematically figure out, I'm generating 6 technicians with these 2 technician tiles. They're fed by these 2 houses, which are in turn fed by this 1 cricket farm, which is actually generating 5 food, which means I can probably have 3 more of these fed by the same farm. It's sucking 2 water a day from this. But it's not sucking any water from this because it's out of range of this one. But what if this one had been here? And then I exhausted all of the water from this one. Or let's say these were daily water generators, and I was absorbing all the water from this one using stuff down here. That means that the cricket farm would have to be getting its water from here, but nothing would tell me that's what's going on. And then if this got destroyed, the cricket farm would be out of water, even though it would be within range. It might have been within range of, like, say, if I put it here, of another water producer. So there's like all these complicated webs of like resource distribution that you have to get right in this game, but there's nothing, at least unless I'm missing something, there's nothing that tells you about any of it. So like once you've, like after you get out of the construction phase where it's showing you all those arrows telling you like where resources are going, there's nothing after the fact to remind you where resources are going now, especially if you change things, if you demolish things, if you move things, that sort of stuff. It's hard to kind of keep track of where all the resources are going. So the first time I played this, I overbuilt a few things, and I couldn't wrap my head around where I had, like, I ended up with a bunch of cascading failures across my entire city, where I had, like, well, this thing wasn't getting what it needed, so it wasn't providing anything to the other tile, and then that tile wasn't providing anything to these other tiles, and there was this huge cascading problem, but I had no way to trace back where the origin of the problem was, and I basically had to start over because I didn't have anything explaining that to me. So in my second game, I learned how to just watch that stuff very carefully. I went step by step, and each time I was like, okay, I know where everything is coming from. I'm doing the math in my head and making sure I'm not outstripping my capabilities. But that takes a lot of effort. And so the thing that I'm wondering is that intentional? Do they want me to have to do the math in my head? And is that what makes this game kind of challenging and unpredictable? The way, like, for instance, in Balatro could tell you in advance the value of every move that you make, but they don't, because they want you to be kind of roughly estimating and not be exactly sure if everything's going to match every goal. Because, if they just gave you all the solid information, it would feel like a different game. It wouldn't feel as much like a game of taking risks as it does, because they're giving you all the information. So I'm wondering if they're deliberately obfuscating information to make the game more challenging, because if it wasn't that way, if they could just hand you all that information, then the game would feel too solvable. It'd just be like, you'd solve it by rote. You'd be like, oh, I'm short on this, so I need to add this. I'm short on this, I need to add this. This needs this, I'll put that there. And it would become so automatic that there wouldn't be a game there. And so the way to make it be a game is to hide a bunch of information from you, so that it's too much for you to keep track of in your head, so it feels like you're sort of flying by the seat of your pants. I feel like that might be an intentional choice, and it might not be. So that's the way I choose to read it, because the alternative is they actually do want you to have access to all information and simply didn't provide it. And so I think they don't want me to know this. I think they don't want me to know where all the people are going, where all the technicians are going, where all the food, is being distributed and being fed by water. I think that's on purpose, and that's how the game is meant to work. So we've built our waste absorption thing, which means these guys now have a place to send this. This is going to be slowly filling up, but it'll eventually hit capacity, so we got to be careful there. But now we've hit all of our goals, so time to level up again. So now we're going to get a signal distributor, water condenser. This is the thing that produces water every turn. And we're now dealing with power, and we've got more housing capacity. Okay, so we can extend our hub's reach. So right now, the only places we can build are within this sort of loop around the hub. But this is saying that it kind of wants us to be able to reach further than this. So it wants us to build a signal distributor. So let's build it over on this end, because there's a lot of stuff to like scavenge and clean up over here. So I'll stick it right there. So we're going to spend a turn building that. But this requires power, which is something that we have not yet messed with. So it's not actually showing us power. It kind of surprises me. I thought they would be showing us the power resource at this stage, but they're not showing it to us yet. What they're doing is telling us, basically, these scrubbers, they consume power every turn. And so if you want to free up power in order to, fuel this thing with power, you've got to destroy a scrubber. So let's destroy a scrubber that's near our, habitation stuff. So in one turn, that's going to go away. And, but there's going to be a crisis event at the same time. Let's see what that is. You get a call from Jean Reese and Sho Nakagawa, who are working on a preliminary ship status assessment. They tell you that accessing many parts of the ship is proving to be very difficult. We found a path that might lead to another biome, we think. Without the schematics, it's a lot more guesswork. But Jean sounds agitated. There's so much overgrowth, Sho puts in. It's just everywhere. Vines, shrubs, plant matter we can't identify. We can't get a rover through, and we're not doing much better on foot. You hear a strangled shriek from somewhere in the background. Jean, are you in that tangle there? Sho's voice breaks. How do you direct your crew? Cut him out of there immediately, or carefully part the vines and pull him out slowly? Let's be careful with his body. Sho is able to extract Jean bit by bit, but it takes hours. Exhausted, the two of them withdraw with your approval. We'll have to find a different way to gain access to more of the ship. Okay. Never a dull moment, it seems. So, yes, I think our team got experience from that. Yeah, you see Jean just got some experience. It's filling up his little experience tile. Okay, so these massive scrubbers kept the biome ecosystem from completely collapsing, but they require a lot of power. Time to take them offline to reclaim it. So we've already done that. So I think that the timing of that tutorial was off, because I think they meant to do it before I had taken one offline. But now we've done that. So now the signal distributor should have... Yeah, you see up here we've got 10 power now because we took down that scrubber. So now we can turn this on. It will absorb 2 power, and we now have 8. So I do like this kind of resource management, by the way, where resources are thought of more as incomes than as stockpiles. This game has a couple of stockpiles, but yeah, like over here, for instance, these are stockpiled water, right? They've got a limited amount of water that's going to run out. But these are the exception. Most things in the game are treated as incomes. In fact, even things you think of as being continuous, like the people, for instance, that come out of this habitat, they treat the people like it's an income. Like each day, this produces a person that then is used by the community in some way, and then the next day they have to produce a person again. Just like, something might produce water every day, or that like this cricket farm produces 5 food every day. But I mean, in the fiction, that's not what they're doing. In the fiction, they just are maintaining a person who's available, or a group of people that's available every day. But mechanically, that's the same thing as an income. And so basically, they're treating almost everything in the game like it's a daily income. And what you're doing is you're matching daily incomes to daily expenses so that the thing sort of can maintain its status quo. And it's only when an income falls short of a need that things start to break down. And I like that kind of model because it lets you, as long as you're not changing anything, it lets you establish and maintain a status quo that you don't have to think about too much. Now, the one thing that we're worrying about right now, 2 things we're worrying about right now is this water is going to run out and this garbage pail is going to fill up. And so those are the things that are sort of in danger of breaking down, and they could cause the whole system to collapse. But right now, when all of those are, when the water sources are fairly full and the garbage collection is fairly empty, we can put that problem up for the future. And for right now, day to day, everything is stable. We're not constantly running out of food that we have to replenish, or constantly running out of water that we have to, restore. And especially, pretty soon we're going to be replacing these with continuous water sources. And then water will become a problem that we can just maintain as a steady state. And that's important to me because I think, if you're making a game that's like State of Decay, for instance, you don't want to have a system where everything is just constantly running out and you're constantly having to, you're going out there, you're trying to have an adventure fighting a bunch of zombies in the field, and everything is constantly running out at home. You want to have some things that can run out, but you want to be able to focus your efforts. Say like, okay, yeah, we're getting a little bit low on food, but I'm not worried about 10 things running out. Like, I can set things up so that they're in a steady state where I'm providing for my needs. And State of Decay 2, does that. Like, you can get your food production up to the point where it's compensating for everybody's hunger. And so then that's a thing you don't have to worry about anymore. And you want to be able to get certain parts of the simulation into a steady state like that so that you're not just constantly distracted by those worries. You want to have some of those worries, but you don't want them to be overwhelming. So I like this model that I'm seeing here. Anyway, so one of our goals is to reclaim this area from the fungus. And so we've got to start building some ecological stuff. Like, we got all this like fungus infested water, we got all this barren land. We have to try to turn this into something that is arable. So we got to build a soil bioremediator and an algal bioreactor. So first, bioremediator. So this one requires 2 technicians and 2 power. And the algal bioreactor requires 2 technicians and 2 power. They both require technicians and power. So we've got 4 technicians, which is just barely enough, though it does make me nervous. And as soon as we run out of technicians, I'm going to want to provide some more before we go too much further. So I want to stick this soil dealie in a place where it can reach as much of the soil as possible. So let's put it here. So we're looking for these blue soil tiles. Let's stick it there. But we're building further away from the base now, and so that has danger to it. And so basically, so I don't fully understand the danger situation. I'm pretty sure that this little tracker up here is keeping track of my distance from danger. And so each time I build one of these things, I think it moves my tracker. And if I get all the way over here, something bad happens that I have to deal with. I think it's something like that, but I don't fully understand it. So we've got all these hazard levels that are coming from where I'm building and what. And it's going to add crisis counters, which I think are what fill this up. And so I can make choices that mitigate the hazards, like placing people who are experts, like this guy, who's got ecological expertise. I can stick him in here. And if I want to, I could assign both of them to this, and I think they would both get experience from it. But I'm going to keep show back because I want to build a second thing. I want to build the algal bioreactor here, and it needs show to take care of it. And it's closer to the base, so it's not going to have the same kind of risk. So we built those 2 things, and notice I've got no technicians left. So those use all my remaining technicians. So these guys are starting to generate sludge, but unfortunately they've got nowhere to send the sludge. So I'm going to need to build something that can process the sludge, but let's see what that looks like. It's this thing. This requires power and a technician, and we do not. It's showing me that little red tile. We do not have a technician for it. And it also consumes water, and we've got finite water generation here, so it will work if we put it over here. But that's going to be something we want to fix pretty soon. So eventually, hills are where you end up producing most of your water. So keeping it close to a hill for the future is helpful. But first, before we can do anything like that, we got to get more technicians. So that means I need to build another habitat close to water, close to crickets, right there, and another technician training place, which will, right now it's not showing any arrows. If I put it here, it'll show arrows going from the other habitats, but those habitats are already providing to these technicians. In fact, I think if I built this here, it would not have enough people, because the people from this habitat are feeding into this, people from this habitat are feeding into this. It would be failing, because I think, I don't know how close it has to be to a habitat. Yeah, I'm genuinely not sure. Okay, if I put it over here, for instance, it's too far away from any habitats to get any people. So I'm pretty sure that if I put it here, it's close enough to these habitats, but not close enough to this one, and it wouldn't work. But if it wasn't working, I wouldn't have an easy way to figure out why it wasn't working. That's my worry about the UX of this game. Is it would not be working. These 3 technician hubs or whatever would, what are they called? Technicians depots. These 3 technician depots, only 2 would be producing, but it wouldn't necessarily be obvious to me why all 3 weren't producing. So you have to kind of hold this stuff in your head. So I'm going to put it over here so that when this is built, it'll feed into that. And that works. So we're feeding food into this from the farm. It's getting water from here, though this is running dangerously low on water. And actually, that should probably be the next problem we solve. So let's grab water, build a water condenser here to feed water into all these sources. How much does a water condenser make? Hold on a second. It produces the max of 5 water. Okay, so actually, hold on. This needs 1 water, this needs 1, this needs 1, this needs 2. So this is going to be completely occupied by all of these water sources. Good to know. If we want to do anything else with water around here, we'll need another one of those. But this does give us enough technicians that we can now build our sludge granulizer. So we'll build this here. So this is getting water from that water tower, and it's sucking sludge. See, if I put it over here, it wouldn't work. It's got to be sucking sludge from these two guys. So build that there. Those are the two things I can do. So now this is providing water. So this, it's going to run out of water, but it's okay because we've already got that situation solved. And I guess that's everything we needed to do. We're down to one technician, which makes me a little bit nervous, but let's move on to the next level here. Okay, so now we can build advanced habitats. We can build a vertical farm, which I think produces more food than a cricket farm. And we can also build water filtration facilities, which makes our water better. Some places need better water, and so we'll need to be able to make filters. There's a whole bunch of new stuff we'll be able to do. But we also get to have a new task steward. So, got Phoebe Tan, Quintino Pereira, Alex Delacroix. So this one's hygienic. These two are... This one's brave, and this one's eloquent. So I happen to know that brave people counter more hazards, or they do something in those hazard situations that other people don't do. I'm not sure what it is, but I'm grabbing Alex because of it. Okay, so we need to have better production chains and some new habitats. So, notice we got this thing, environmental remediation. We need to be processing excess nitrates. That's what these guys are doing. So every turn you'll notice this guy he's got this one tile near him that he's cleaning. He's already cleaned 2 tiles. Similarly, this guy is messing with this tile, and he's going to keep doing that to all these brown tiles and turn them green. But we're going to need to build a vertical farm, build an advanced habitat. But right now, we are only producing barely enough water to satisfy the needs of this area. So we're going to need to be producing more water eventually. So let's start doing that now. Okay, so a water pump can be built on a wet tile, and that produces a bunch of water. This produces less, but it's got to be on a hill. And honestly, if I had started cleaning up this water over on this side, then I probably could build a water pump to satisfy all the water needs in the area. But I didn't do that. Though I guess actually we could decide that where we're building will be on this side. We do have this very full water tower. So if we wanted to, we could say that our water pump is going to be here next turn. And so we're going to build our habitats, our new habitats over here. I wonder, is it worth it to try to build? No, it's not. Okay, so let's say that's what we're doing. So the advanced habitat, it needs, oh yeah, and this doesn't need particularly clean water. Okay, that's good to know. So we'll build this here, and it's going to be slurping water from over here, but this is not going to have enough food. Now, we could try to produce enough food for it, but, we don't have enough prefabs. We need to keep scavenging out there. So we'll build this. And this water tower has now been exhausted. So it's defunct, and we can knock it down if we want to. But that's going to leave us a pile of rubble for a while. We've built this place, and it says that it's receiving food, but I guess, yeah, okay, so this, yes, this takes 2 water, so we're sucking 5 water, but actually this is producing 5 food, and so 1, 2, 3, 4, so yeah, this thing is still not tapped out on food, and because this can get water from here, we're still not messed up yet, so that's good to know. But this is going to turn into rubble, and so we should... What should we do? Material waste storage. That's what we need. So we need to build a thing that can receive material waste. I'm going to build that over here where nobody else lives. And I can do technically 3 things per turn. And this tile is now open, but do we have enough prefabs to build a water pump. We do not. We also don't have enough power. We've only got 1 power. Okay. Well, let's take this thing apart then. So each time I take one of those down, I remove one of these scrubbers that's helping with my morale, my well-being. But luckily, we've got enough different things, enough different positives going on now that we don't need to counterbalance this with too many of these. So we'll go with this turn. So this has become rubble, but now we've got, insufficient food. Why is it insufficient food? What's happening? Everybody's got insufficient food because this should be able to produce 5 crickets for people's food and consume 2 water. This produces 5 water, which should be feeding all of these places. So why are we short on food? This lost a water source, but it should have a new one. Very mysterious. Wouldn't it be nice if the UI would tell me something about this? It could be that this will fix itself in 1 turn after things just realign. Like maybe this has been deliberately pulling from this the whole time, but now it'll switch, but it'll take a turn for it to switch. I don't know. So let's say this is going to go collect that garbage. And then we've got enough prefabs now. We can build a water pump in this water. I've never built a water pump before. Oh, but... Okay, before I do this, let's actually go 1 more turn and see if this resolves. Okay, it did resolve. These places are now being fed. But these are not being given people. Probably because last turn these thought they were not being fed. And because they thought they were not being fed, they didn't produce any people for these. So this turn, these guys are missing people. But that should be fixed next turn. Right? Well, now that I'm not worried about the water, let's produce the water. And is there anything else I want to do? Yeah, let's build a filter fabricator because we're going to want it eventually. This is going to cost power, which is fine. It's going to cost technicians, which is fine. Wait, how many technicians does this need? 1 technician. Okay, so building this is going to take our final technician. But that's okay because we've just built a new habitat. We never built a technician place for this new habitat. So we're going to build that. And that will just work, right? So much just happened. But yeah, okay, so all of those technician deficits solved themselves. We've got 3 new technicians, which is great. We've still got plenty of power. And our goal of processing nitrates over here is being fulfilled. It looks like, so this guy's producing these sort of lush-looking brown tiles. And it's processing these nasty ones. So that's looking good. But they want me to build a vertical farm. So let's do that. Vertical farm. So we want this thing to be feeding our people. And unfortunately, I haven't left a lot of space for that. I actually kind of imagined incorrectly that these spots where the scrubbers were going to be buildable. That is not the case. So, what does that mean? What do I need to do? Okay, here's what I need to do. We've got this water pump now. We don't need this thing anymore. So, but it's still full of water. I can't demolish it till it's empty. Oh, that sucks. Okay. And this spot. Why can't I use this spot? Is it because of the signal? The signal reaches over here. Can I use it? Oh, I can. Okay, so this could be used to feed that. That seems like a waste. And it demands really good water, which I can't get from over here. I don't have any room to build the stuff that would give me good water over here. Unless, can I build it over here? Let's see here. Filtration. Yes, I could build a filtration facility over here. This is kind of silly. I'm building things way off in a ridiculous place. But I know things that makes me realize this is probably okay. So I'm going to do it. This is not a good way to run a town. Okay, so I'm going to assign everyone to work on this because I think they all get experience from it. And also, involving an engineer, involving a brave person, this gives us more of these green things, which I think counter the red things. I'm not exactly sure. I think, maybe they just give us fortune counters. That's right. Okay, so I think what's happening is we're going to get 5 crisis counters, which will move this little dot this way, but we're also getting 3 fortune counters, which are trying to move it that way. So this is going to mitigate that movement. So yes, let's do that. Okay, so they're building over here, and I think that's all we can do. So let's wrap that up. And so now this thing, it needs to have fresh filtered water. Everything else so far has been dealing with dirty fungusy water. But this needs actual fresh, serious water. So let's build a serious water facility, which is going to be feeding water here, but it needs to have filters. And unfortunately, I had been imagining that I could just produce the filters over here, and that would be okay. That might not be okay. We might actually have to build the filtration facility, like the water filter facility next to this thing in order for it to work. Let's see how it works. So here's the water filtration facility. Boink. Oh, wait a minute. Wait, no. We got another option here. Hold on. Here. Yes. Okay, if it's here, it can reach everything it needs to reach. This is so ridiculous. Okay, I'm just contorting myself in every direction. Let's involve all of our people in this just to reduce the amount of crisis that could be going on. And we're slowly cleaning things up. Process extra nitrates has now hit its goal. Provide enough water is not hitting its goal. Why? Is this just... Oh, I misread the... Dang it, I misread the arrow. I thought I was seeing an arrow coming out of this tile. I was seeing an arrow coming out of this tile. This is not close enough to this to work. So this thing actually needs to move down. Okay, well, we know what to do. Knock it down, build another one. So we'll build a filter fabricator here. This one's in range. We're being silly, but that's fine. So what's going to happen is I'm going to move this filter fabricator. It'll be here. It'll provide filters to this. This will slurp water from here and from here, turn it into really fresh drinking water, send it over here. This is then going to start producing food for this place that doesn't need it. But it's fine. Whatever. Here we go. So yeah, everything cascaded and worked. And if it hadn't worked, I would have trouble figuring out why. But there we go. We'll clean up that garbage. And this is just held together with like spit and string, but it kind of works. So now they want me to upgrade a structure. And what better structure to upgrade than the garbage dump, because it's starting to fill up. So I think we need to go a turn because it's going to unlock upgrades for us. Yes. So over here is where upgrades live. And a lot of these places have upgrades that aren't unlocked yet. I have to level up before they work, but this place has got upgrade slots I can use. So improved waste storage increases the capacity by 50 units. Or efficient waste transfer increases its radius by 1. I think all of our houses are within its radius, though. So let's increase its storage. This is our first activity that's going to take 3 turns. So while that's taking 3 turns, I'm wondering if there is something else we should consider doing. Now, we're generating all this food over here that we aren't using. And part of me wants to see if there's a way to use it, but I don't think I can. So this guy's still producing 5 food. So I guess if this guy is feeding these people, this guy can afford to feed some more people. It's already sucking all the water it's ever going to suck. So I can probably build some more people out here to take advantage of this extra capacity and to just prepare for, needs of the future. So I think I'm going to do that. I'm going to spend these turns building more habitats. Now I can probably build another advanced habitat because it looks like it doesn't require any more stuff. than other habitats. Okay. So I'm going to produce more technicians. Yeah, I think this cricket farm is enough to feed all these guys. So let's continue. Okay, so this says it's not producing people this turn. Oh. So you can decide to make it not accept stuff. That's interesting. So this says that it doesn't have any people. So I'm wondering, is this just telling me it's not going to accept the water? Or is it giving me the option to tell it not to accept the water? I wonder, what happens if I turn it on here? Okay, neither of those seems to be doing anything when I click on them. What happens if I advance? Okay, so this recovered. So this just needed to figure out where to get its food, I suppose. Maybe this place was absorbing all the food from here, and now this place for the first time is accepting food from here, which means that now there's capacity for this to be feeding this, and then this to be feeding that. And actually, because this produces 2 population, I could probably build another one of these if I want to, and that's probably fine. In fact, I could build another one over here if there's any space for it. Okay, one more turn and we'll have upgraded a structure. Oh, so interesting. So this is now still something changed again. Okay, so because I upgraded it, did it just like reset and now it has to sort of reabsorb stuff? I'm not sure how that works exactly. Everybody says they've got too much garbage, but let's see what happens after we level up and the new turn starts. Okay, so they're unlocking a whole bunch of upgrades for me. And unlocking at least one other person. Cassia seems calm. Oh, I get to pick 2 people. Oh. Yichen is flirty. Absolutely. You have all the necessary tools to restore the biome to a stable state. Keep up the environmental efforts and take care of your population's well-being. Remember, humanity is counting on you. Absolutely. Let's go another turn. Okay, the garbage is causing a problem. Okay, I can improve the radius of the structure, but I don't think that's necessary. Why is everybody having trouble with their garbage? I've upgraded this so it has more space, so it should... Is this... Oh, produces 5 stored... Okay, so it can only handle 5 at once? Is that the idea? So each of these... There's 5 of them. Let's go another turn. And this turn it's fixed. So yeah, so it's interesting. They've got this, like... process where every turn it tries to figure out what's going on, but like it's relying on the numbers from the previous turn, and so you'll see effects cascade across the systems one step at a time with errors sort of rippling out from wherever you made a change. I do kind of wish that it could do all of those cascading effects in a single turn resolution rather than making me wait turn by turn for all of it to work out. And you know, in the systems that I'm working on right now, we've had to deal with things like this too, where it's like, depending on how you construct a system like this, you could end up making the player deal with a bunch of errors, or you could have to, you know, rack your brain to figure out a way to deal with those errors behind the scenes. So like something changes in the systems. How much of that do you either set up the system so that it intrinsically solves those problems and just doesn't create those errors in the first place? Or do you complicatedly solve all the errors and like run around, like have your systems run around like whatever, like a busybody solving a million errors before you show them to the player? Or do you just let the errors happen and then let the player deal with them? And it looks like they went with the latter solution here. So like I end up thinking like, oh man, do I have a serious problem I have to solve? And the answer is often no. No, I don't have a serious problem I have to solve, but I can't find out if I have a serious problem until the next turn. Okay, so we're trying to process excess nitrates to get up to this high number. This guy has now cleaned everything it can possibly clean. And this guy is now full. And I think this guy has also cleaned everything it can possibly clean. So if we want to keep cleaning, we have to extend in a new direction. And I'm thinking maybe that should be up here to the north. We've got a lot of water and a lot of soil that needs our help. So we're going to shut down these guys, because we don't need them anymore. They're not doing anything. And that gets us back a ton of technicians. Look at all the technicians we have. So we're going to need to build the same things, but up here. But we can't yet until we build another signal distributor. So let's build that up here. And because we're building far away, it's got hazards. So let's assign everyone. Everyone helps. So this thing got knocked out, so we will clean up that garbage. And now we got this thing. It's opened up all of this space, so now we can install a new algal bioreactor here to clean up this water. And we're going to have our single-minded planner, our neighborly person, and this ecological person. Actually, let's just do leadership and ecological, confirm action. Let's build a soil remediator here. I think, yeah, we'll do that there with our remaining 2 people. 1 person is all it takes. And then we also need the thing what collects the sludge that also needs to be near a water source. And this is going to be a problem because I think we're using a lot of this water source, and I think we might not have fully replaced this water source. We might be about to see a cascade of water problems. So let's see how this goes. First, though, we have to level up a character. So we've given Jean enough jobs that now Jean is going to level up. We got to choose how he's going to level up. So we can increase his expertise, which means he'll start to eliminate hazards when we assign him to hazards. Or we can give him an ability slot that he can fill next time. But we're going to make him raise his expertise. And now we proceed. Okay, bunch of stuff just happened. I think these guys maybe are being denied water right now? Or what is this doing? Let's see here. So this says it doesn't have storage, but this is the storage. So I think this might be a temporary problem up here. And I'm hoping this is a temporary... This could be the water problem. So maybe if we install... So, okay, actually, this is about to become viable for a water pump. So let's just continue. There we go. Okay, yeah, so that did solve its problem. This is now viable for a water pump, which will provide water all these places. And that is going to require... See, and so this is so wasteful for us to like build this filter fabricator over here. We should have tried to handle all of our water. We should have planned ahead. With all of the knowledge I have of this game so far, I should have planned ahead. So that this filter fabricator could provide filters to both of my water production facilities. But we can't, because I didn't do that. So I'll need to build a water filtration facility. Is that going to be close enough? Okay, I'm going to have to delay a turn to see if it's going to be close enough. So let's wait. We've built the pump. It is providing dirty water to this. It would prefer clean water, though. Oh, there's a rubble present. Where's the rubble? Where did the rubble go? Oh, it's over here? Can I get to that from here? I can't. Oh, this is rubble because I exhausted one of these, like, ruins. So I'm going to have to build a garbage place all the way over. There's nowhere I can build it. Oh my gosh. You know what that means? I'm going to have to build another signal distributor? No. Yes. I have to build another signal distributor just right next to my other one just to get a little bit of land over here that I can use. That is ridiculous. This is not a good example of how to do this. Don't play this game the way I'm playing it right now. But... Okay, so yes, we need to take care of that rubble in order to satisfy our requirements here. But what I was actually going to do was build a filter fabricator over here. And the filter fabricator is going to feed into a water filtration thingy. Oh, but the thing I needed to figure out was where can I put water filtration? Okay, so I can put it over here where it can feed all of these houses. That's a pretty good deal. Let's do that. And then let's build the thing what makes filters over here as well, right next to it. We're taking on a lot of danger building so far from the hub. Oh, and we've got an event here. You've received complaints about teenagers breaking into waste storage buildings. What you haven't received yet is reports of theft or vandalism. Curious, you decide to make an after-hours visit to a few of these facilities. At the second, you hear telltale giggling near a waste tank. You creep closer. You watch a gaggle of teenagers pass around a little bottle, huffing it in one nostril then the other. One of them opens a pressure valve on a conduit connected to the waste tank. All of them surge forward, jostling, ducking their heads to inhale the sewage gases. Your eyes water even at your distance from the source. It's foul in a primal, choking way. What is going on? You have a hard time finding the moment to make yourself known. You emerge as casual as you can from your hiding place and call out, startling the teens. You ask, with a bit too much sheepishness, what they're doing. Hamdi Delacroix hesitates before passing you the bottle, clearly aware of the power differential here. You take a deep huff and move closer to the seeping vent. Delicately you sniff, unsure of what to expect. I have not seen this event before. This is funny. You smell a wave of something warm and woody, something beguilingly floral. No, is it the scent of pandan? Pandan? People from the planet of pandas? I don't know what that is. It's ever-shifting and endlessly intriguing. You're transfixed. The teens smirk as your face registers amazement. You've got to get this to the sanitation workers. Won't they give you a sample? Hamdi fishes around in her pockets and passes you a little jar of something. You take it to be analyzed, assuring the lab tech over and over how incredible this substance is. When the lab results come back, you're told the little vial of liquid doesn't do what you described. It just turns off your sense of smell completely. Still useful, but hardly transcendent. Okay, that was a weird little story. All right, we're building stuff. And we've got... Ooh, what's happening here? This needs power that I can't afford. However, this one, I don't think this is doing anything I need that the other one won't also do. So let's turn that one off and this one on. We've got the power for that. And... Oh, but we've got an event. What's the event? Jean Reese shows up, frowning, to deliver an infrastructure inspection report. He regretfully informs you that there are significant issues with the new structure's plumbing and wiring. The plumbing was hastily connected, leading to slow leaks and inefficient waste flow. Over time, excess waste will build up, not just in the structure, but in the surrounding ones too. The wiring was installed to meet an inaccurate electrical load calculation. Now the structure will draw power from elsewhere to supply itself, straining the surrounding power grid over time. Jean sighs. Both create long-term problems. Which one should we address right now? I'm really low on this, so let's fix the electrical system. Days later, Jean reports, we gutted and retrofitted all the wires and circuit breakers. The safety violations I saw. Anyway, it won't be an issue now. But the poorly connected plumbing system continues to slowly leak. The additional waste buildup will have to be addressed some other way. Okay, so something is going to be generating more waste. And... Cool. Let's see if we can now build the thing I've been wanting to build. Yeah. Oh, no, I can't build... With excess nitrates. Dang it, I did all of that, but I can't build on this tile because it has excess nitrates. What am I going to do? Oh, wait. So they're not requiring me to have that extra food source right now, are they? Oh, this consumes water it's not getting? Why is it not getting water? Not worrying about that right now. Okay, so let's build a vertical farm here, which is going to be getting water from this. So that'll work, right? If we build a vertical farm there, we don't need this vertical farm or any of this water infrastructure, but whatever. Let's build that first. Oh, wait, somebody needs to level up. Ooh, adds extra stuff on water tiles? Sure, why not? And you're leveling up as well. Negates a hazard when alone. Absolutely. Okay. So, we've built this. This all seems to work. Got extra food growing over here, which means we don't need this food. And honestly, we might not have needed this food to begin with. Wait, but if I knock this down... Wait a minute, no. Knocking this down to make room doesn't help because my whole problem is I've got no room for the thing that collects the rubble. What am I going to do? Okay. I think I know what I have to do. This is incredibly stupid and convoluted, but I think it's my only choice. I have to build this here. I need to knock this down. I need to clean up. This is the wrong thing. I built the wrong thing. Oh, what are you doing? Buddy directs you to the next stop on your rounds. Some recent power surges were traced to a source nearby, Buddy says. There. It points to a door. As you get closer, you hear an erratic belly laugh from inside. I have not seen this before. You spot Yishin Tan first, sitting quietly. Then Drew Romao throws his arms out and laughs wildly, tilting backward. He laughs in gasps of delight that don't match your experience with the training programs you recalled using similar headsets. He sounds almost intoxicated. Everyone's just getting high on everything in this game. Another one for the rotation, Sam Vasquez drawls, looking up at you. He seems lethargic, swaying faintly. I'm trip-sitting, Yishen says quickly. You're welcome to join. Makes you euphoric, Adam Tan explains with a grin. Hijacks the optic nerve and makes your endorphins go into overdrive. All natural, so pretty safe. Well, Drew slurs, you can still get addicted. Trapped in there too, but... Sam gets impatient and yanks the headset away from Drew. When he plugs it in for a charge, the overhead lights flicker. It's charged in an instant. It's all ready for you now, Sam says, proffering the helmet. Terrific stress reliever, Yishin says. Want to go? It would be great for everyone if only it was safer. Let's be a stick in the mud. You fiddle with the device and ask the experienced users to tell you more about it. When you're in the middle of asking about power settings, Sam says, I mean, you can turn the brainwave jacking stuff down to its original settings. It's just not as fun. Everyone groans. They know the signal's the beginning of the end for their more euphoric trips. But for you and the rest of the crew, it's just the beginning for a new stress-busting fad. No power dips or risk of scrambled brains required. Return to duties. They just got these weird little stories they tell us. Sometimes I don't know if they have anything to do with anything simulation-wise. Okay, so, again, I ruined this. So now we have to collect this garbage, which is going to fill this thing up more. I'm wasting so much time. We're about to finish processing our nitrates, but we're going to have so much rubble. That's going to be my big problem. Okay. What I need is not the organic waste storage, the material waste storage, which is a different thing, which can reach further. Ooh. What? If I build it here, it can reach both of these, which means I didn't need to destroy this. Oh my gosh. Okay. Hold on. I thought the other thing that I built had a smaller range. And so I thought I needed to knock this down to... Oh. All right, so let's get rid of that garbage. And then let's rebuild the thing that I didn't need to get rid of in the first place. While we get rid of that rubble. And then we're done. But then we got these cascading problems everywhere. Because I built that organic storage thing... Oh, this is almost full. Oh, crap. I'm actually going to need another organic storage thing. Okay, fine. Here, everybody, put your waist there. Yes. We're gonna work on it. Okay, next turn. Okay. We've technically accomplished all of our goals. We've got a bunch of cascading nonsense all over the map, but I'm pretty sure all of this is fake, and it's gonna come back pretty soon. But what we've got now is the next phase. After tireless effort and careful coordination, yes, careful coordination. That's what I was doing, running around with like a chicken with my head cut off all over this map. The results are undeniable. The biome is showing real signs of recovery. For the first time in a long time, the possibility of a thriving future feels within reach. But before you and the crew find time to celebrate, a message comes through from your team. They insist that you come right away. They've sent you a complex path to follow through the ship's passages and tunnels. No one has been through them since the ship was built. They finally found a way through. So remember, at the very beginning, they were talking about wanting to find a route to another biome because this generation ship is trying to maintain biomes from all over Earth. And so we started in a grassland biome, but there are other biomes, and this is something we've been looking for a way to get to. Your team members are there already, as close as anyone alive has ever been to an inaccessible biome. You hurry through an unfamiliar auxiliary access tunnel, recently cleared. There's so many of these, and so many of their schematics are gone. Sho Nakagawa's voice crackles over the comms channel. Almost here. The signal isn't good, but Cassia Admundson chimes in. Come on, we've almost got the door open. You shush Buddy every time it repeats, local coordinate data not found. Locational triangulation system inoperative. You feel an open space ahead of you, echoing with the small noises of anticipation. The room is enormous, with many people gathered around what looks like a blank wall. Sho crows. Got it! Everyone holds their breath. The wall opens. And we're in a different video game. The taiga. It's beautiful. People are already stepping through, laughing, stomping through the snow. A new biome. After months and months in the grassland zone, the cold feels bracing and novel, sparkling, glowing. You watch people begin a snowball fight. Behind you! A wrenching metal groan. The tunnel! No, there's no way back. We worked so hard to get here. I built a whole town out of bubblegum and string. And now it's gone. You and your team discuss, while an emergency tent is deployed, how to proceed. You try to consult patchy comms with those back in the grasslands, but you can barely get a word across. Best to accept it. You're trapped here for now. Even after the others back in grasslands figure out what's gone wrong, the tunnel collapse can't be cleared until the structural supports can be reinforced. Anything else runs the risk of a hull breach, if only so many schematics hadn't been lost. With no other choice, you all begin to set up more tents. Return to duties. Morning breaks. Folks are tired and cold. We might be stuck here for a while. While you're pondering the various ways this might mean your inevitable demise, Buddy chirps in with a small observation. The trees here seem to be decomposing at an alarmingly accelerated rate. We should investigate. We can investigate that later, you donut, Sho says, because the robot's shaped like a donut. The first time I read this, I had no idea what he was talking about. Yeah, right now, we should focus on not freezing our asses off, Sean adds. They're understandably agitated. As if on cue, Buddy interjects that the hub will have emergency supply cache that we can use to bootstrap ourselves. Perhaps we'll get through this. So now, we're starting over in a new biome with new stuff that we can do, like a logging sky arm and a mass timber factory. And we've got a bunch of prefabs and power and housing capacity. So we can start over. And so here's what I don't know. So is this just going to be a progression of different community building simulators, like in different biomes, and I'm going to go, from one to the next until I win the game at the end of the story? Or at some point, am I going to be managing multiples of these at the same time? Are we going to reconnect with the grasslands at some point? I don't really know what to expect at all. So I want to keep playing this to figure out how it works, but not right this minute, because we've been doing this for over an hour, and it's about time that I wrap this up. But isn't this fascinating? Like they've bitten off a lot. Like I said, I've been critical of the user experience here and the information that I have access to, and also been critical of the way the system seemed to do this thing where they only know what they knew from the previous turn, and they can't resolve more sort of dependencies than whatever they can do on a single turn. And because of that, you end up with these sort of mysterious problems that ripple through your town and then go away turn by turn. But each turn you're like, do I need to solve this? Is this a big problem? And then oftentimes it's not one, but you don't have the tools to assess it. So again, I've been critical of that, but at the same time, I did figure it out. I was able to solve the problem in the previous area on my, second try. My first try, it was just a complete disaster. Second try was actually my best. Third try, I was chasing garbage around like a weirdo towards the end. And I had no idea what I was doing with the water system. I actually got worse at the game in my third try. But I was able to figure it out. And so I feel like, as much as I was kind of frustrated by those limits in the UI, and especially by those strange sort of cascading errors, I think this might be deliberate. I think this might be sort of where the challenge of the game lies. I think they might be intentionally asking me to hold a lot of this stuff in my head as part of the challenge of playing this game. And so I wish that the cascading stuff didn't happen. I think that I think that might be an unmitigated problem with the game, but I think that the fact that the UX doesn't give me the tools to just thoroughly analyze everything that's feeding into everything else might be intentional and might just be the challenge they're asking me to do. So I'm going to accept that as just the rules of the game, and that's okay. But still, even with those cascading errors, this is a fascinating experience, experiment in this direction, and this is something that I feel like I'm learning a lot that's informing my work on State of Decay from watching what they did here. Even though State of Decay is not a turn-based game, vastly different in every way, and you're not going to get any insight into how my work is going from watching my reactions to this, because it's just so extremely different. Still, this is exploring in the same direction, and I am learning a lot from what they've done here. And also, I really like the way that they're sort of, I expected one thing from this game because it's a top-down city builder type thing. I expected something along the lines of, I don't know, like an Anno game or something, where it's like that's all the game is. But no, they're trying to create these characters and having, interesting, weird little stories going on the side. They're trying to immerse you in this world and in these characters' lives. They don't want this to be just a sort of dry, top-down logistics simulator. They want this to be a story about people, despite the fact that most of it is played as a top-down logistics simulator. And I think they're doing a really interesting and admirable job of making that happen. So overall, I think this game is a success. It is doing really interesting stuff. And yeah, just the fact that I'm being, critical of it, trying to, feel out the edges of like where it's not quite working is just because I work in this exact same area, and I just really want to understand it all thoroughly. But overall, I think this game is really worthwhile, and I feel like I've gotten a lot out of it. So anyway, I guess that's my summation. There's my subscribe button. And if I come back, if I play through the taiga and I want to show you more stuff there, I'll make another episode here. But if not, there'll be some other links and you can follow those.